Hey everyone, this is Ultra Runner. Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk a little bit about consumerism, and collecting, and how you collect, if you're collecting because you want to continue collecting and replacing figures, or if you are looking to buy a definitive piece and really never replace it, or there are figures that you buy, and I'll talk about this with Transformers too. We'll show that in a little bit. But are there figures you're buying that you're expecting to be replaced at some point? Or are you buying figures that you were thinking, hey, this is a one and done, this is the definitive version, and this is all I'm ever going to get? So for me, being new to collecting, I've only been doing it for really like a year and a half now. There are some figures I bought since I'm buying really kind of now what I would say is pretty close to peak, as far as collecting goes, because a lot of what we're getting is the 2.0s from things that are, 7, 8, 9, sometimes 10 years old, or you're picking up brand new, never released figures, and of course it's the latest technology and so forth and so on. And so when you're picking these up, are you expecting to buy this figure, never have another one, and that's it? Or are you looking to pretty much buy a figure and then possibly replace it if there's an upgrade to a 2.0, 3.0, whatever the case may be? I was watching the video today talking about, essentially your collection is always going to be moving around, and that you need to change different things up, and you want to upgrade, because if you do, it'll make you happier with collecting. But I don't know if that's really true, because there's some figures that I know in my collection will probably never get replaced. And I'll give an example. So this Fennec Shan, Boba on Throne, Cobb Vanth, there's no Boba Fett, Book of Boba Fett Season 2 coming. What are the odds on us getting replacement for those characters? Well, from that series, probably not. Maybe there's a big crossover, Star Wars movie that they're going to do later on that's going to have those replaced. But for the most part, that franchise is dead. I mean, Book of Boba Fett, even though I liked it, it wasn't the greatest, but they don't typically go in the well or go back to the well for a franchise that don't do well. The thing about this is Captain America from Falcon and Captain America, Winter Soldier. Are they ever going to redo this? Probably not. I mean, the first one was stellar. I mean, he doesn't have moving eyes, but this is easily one of the best figures, aesthetic-wise, in my collection, and function-wise and mobility. I mean, his suit looks great. Are they going to go back to him? Probably not. I mean, that's probably a done deal. Yes, you could probably get a new Hawkeye. This is the Ronin Deluxe set, and there's a possibility that Hot Toys could go back and make a new one, as for an anniversary piece and things like that. But there's just some figures that when I buy them, I don't expect to get another one. One, because the franchise might be an issue. The figure itself might be a one-off, like this Concept Mall which is a Kit Bash, got a Fusion Reactor Darksaber, and Phantom Menace Maul 2.0 head on it. And I've got his lightsaber only one side. I've got it modified, so it's only lighting on one side of it, the Hot Toys. But I don't expect to get another one of these. They're not going to 2.0 this guy, or there's almost no chance of 2.0 him. He wasn't successful. He sat on the shelf for a long time. I think this look is stellar. I think the yellow from his outfit goes well and complements Savage's look. But I don't expect this to be a new one. I don't expect a new one to come in for him. So that's a one and done. Savage, and maybe what they'll do at some point is a full animated Clone Wars line, which I would love. But would I get it? Probably at this point, not really, based on what I'm doing as far as space is concerned. You come down here to like this dual in effect Vader, which is my only representation of Vader in this suit. They're not 2.0 on this guy. This is a one and done. So if they come out with, they've coming out with right now multiple different Vaders. That's it. I'm not going to get a 2.0, so there's not going to be a 2.0, but so there's really almost no chance of me getting a replacement for this one here. This Anakin here, this Darth Vader Sith Apprentice, yeah, he's already been 2.0. Well, not really 2.0. He's been re-released as a different character, but Are they going to do multiples of him? Yeah, they're going to probably keep improving this because Anakin is a moneymaker. This Dark Empire Luke, is there a chance we're going to get another one of these? Probably not. That Legends line has been really successful, but at the end of the day, what are they going to improve on this? The head sculpt's stellar. This is definitely one of the best Mark Hamill looks, Mark Hamill looks, and the suit is not pleather, is is nylon. It poses well, looks good, lights up. When I come down here to the Bobas, that's the vintage Boba, which is actually a few years old. The Boba Fett arena suit, which is a few years old, and then the Boba Fett prototype or pre-proto Boba. All of these are a few years old. If they drop a new version of the Boba, which I don't really think they would do in this arena suit, dude, this is pretty stellar. I mean, maybe they could do die cast for these guys, and that would be an improvement from an aesthetic look. Probably not, but for the most part, a lot of these figures we buy, they are kind of a one and done nowadays. Like, I got Jinx from Arcane. I just got my notification that Vi's coming, which is awesome. Do I expect them to do more Arcane figures? Maybe, but I don't really think so. I think we do know the franchise for Arcane is over. There's a spinoff coming, but for the most part, that's it. We're done. So, do I expect them to make another Jinx in 5 years? Probably not. Even if she's in another media, she's gonna have a different look, so it'll be a different thing. But a 2.0 of that is probably not what we're gonna have. So when you guys are purchasing, are you looking at purchasing a figure that is going to get replaced, or are you looking to buy something that is really going to be your definitive piece? Because I personally think, like, for me, I'm not looking to buy anything that I want to keep replacing over and over and over and over and over again. Is there going to be a 2.0 of like this cap specifically, concept art cap? Probably not. But would they be a 2.0 of endgame? Probably so. And he'll have moving eyes and probably a better suit and aesthetically better. So yeah, maybe he's a one-off person I'll pick because it's Cap, and you guys know I love Cap, obviously, with my little Cap display here. But for the most part, a lot of these figures we're picking up are so good, we're gonna have them probably forever. And at some point, when does collecting, as far as the consumerism ends, and then the contentment began? Because at some point, I don't think I'll be collecting actively. Maybe I'll pick up a few here and there, or I'll replace one here or there. But my Marvel shelf, I've got Wolverine pool coming in, and Age of Ultron Thor. I really want an Iron Man and a Hulk for the shelf, and I'm pretty much done with that. Maybe a Black Widow, depending on which one they do. If I look at my DC shelf, I've got the Christopher Reeve 2-pack coming from InArt, and the Artisan Harley Quinn coming. With the exception of one or two more DC figures, that shelf's done. My Ahsoka shelf is done. Unless they drop a animated version of her, which I would love to have, a true animated look, not this realistic take on it. But again, if they didn't do it, perfectly fine. This shelf here is done completely. Down here, I really want to, I'm thinking about a piece, kind of a custom piece for this to go with this on this shelf, but I'll talk more about that at a different point. My BVS shelf is almost done because both of those on order, the Wonder Woman from InArt and the Batman. So that shelf will be done. That's the only thing that's going to go there. This is a shelf here. I've got Plo Koon, who's already paid. I'm just waiting for him to ship out. And then the only other character I wanted for the shelf was Yoda. He came up, and which I've been waiting for a Yoda. So I'm glad I didn't buy the old one. So I've got him coming. This shelf here is done. Actually, this shelf will be Vi and maybe a couple other animated characters if they don't get any more Arcane. And this shelf here is going to be my Boba Fett's loose, probably. So I don't really have that many figures left to come. And if I look at over here for this shelf here, the shelf here is done. This is my quarter scale Boba Fett, along with the Book of Boba Fett, or I guess it's technically a Mandalorian 2-pack. I might end up with figures down here, but not really sure how that's going to go. And then, of course, on my desk, I've got my Book of Boba Fett Daimyo look. So, as far as like collecting goes, I don't think there's a whole ton that we have to look forward to if you're wanting to get in this collecting, or if you've been in collecting for a long time and you're ready to get out. There is an end game to this, and I think we should probably look at that as an option to not sticking in collecting and letting these companies keep pushing us to pick up more and more and more and more. Because at the end of the day, you're going to get a point where you should be content with what you have, and that's it. And you look back at it, what you have, and you revel in it, and you enjoy it, and that's what it boils down to. Let me show you the Transformers area. Now, for Transformers, this is a little different, because with Transformers, I think there is a lot of opportunity for a lot of collectors to continue to upgrade and replace in certain lines. But I'll definitely tell you, when it comes to, if you're a G1 collector, specifically the 86 movie line like I am, and a lot of us are, because those are right now our best examples of G1 figures, and this Age of the Primes line, Legacy, things like that, we're getting really definitive versions of all of these characters. So if they dropped in 4 years, a better wind charger who has, no gaps around the feet area, is that somebody you're going to pick up? Probably wouldn't be a bad pickup for $27. I mean, granted, I'm sure by then it'll be $40. But if you look at like Superion, is there going to be a better version of him at some point? Yeah, I mean, they've improved these combiners. Like every time they release them, they're always better. But for the most part, we can buy a lot of these and be done. I can tell you, for me, with the exception of Ultra Magnus, if they drop a new Ultra Magnus, I don't know, say, I'm going up here, let's say next year or in 2 years, they come up with a better version of him. Well, he's that one character, I'll buy every single mold of him. That's just my dude. I've got a couple molds of him right now. I've got the missing links on the way for him and for Delta Magnus. But for the most part, these are my definitive. I won't replace them probably ever. Maybe the Dinobots, I'll end up if they do a toy color version of those with the chrome, I would definitely do that. I've said that, the Dinobots are my favorite team of any media. So I would love to have those guys. And for SS86, I am picking up everything. So I am, even like the recolor of the Hot Rod here, because my personal opinion, I don't like the magenta. I know it's movie accurate. This is still my main one on display, and he will stay there because that is the dude. But for the most part, a lot of these, we may not have to replace these for any reason, and are the companies going to probably make these a little, inferior, so they force us to buy something else? It's possible, but what if you're content with this version of the Tetrajets? If they came out with the ones from the G1 show, would you go, okay, well, I have to get those, or this is fine, or this fine for you? This is the Nemesis, this one that transformed. What if they came out with a more accurate version that did transform, that was just a static, or maybe it was a playset? Is that what you want to go with? I think for a lot of us, we are looking at this as, this is probably my one and done for the stuff that I collect. So if that's you, let me know down in the comments below, how you guys are feeling about your collecting habits, and, are you looking at consumerism versus contentment? Is there an end for you in this, where you see yourself getting to a point where I'm not going to add more space, I'm going to have, a pretty good display with all the things I like, and that's it. You know, there's a better version of Bumblebee coming out. Don't care. I'm not going to get another one. You know, and if they decide to do an SS84 line, or, you know, which is kind of the rumor now, or you're going to go, okay, well, now that they're making it super accurate, I'm going to replace all this with, I'm going to go jump on that bandwagon. You know, let me know in the comments below. I know for me, that's not the case. I'm going to stick with what I've got. I've got a few more G1 pickups I want to have. And outside of that, we're done. You know, and I'm looking at the next thing in collecting, and, you know, which is pretty much not being a collector. Just enjoying it here and there, and maybe, like I say, picking up a new Ultra Magnus here or there, some Dinobots here or there, you know, maybe a combiner here or there. But for the most part, being able to get out of this and, you know, just enjoy what I have, and being content and knowing that if I want to replace something here or there, that's okay, but it's not going to be an active search to keep buying and keep buying and keep buying, because of course that's what they want. But that's what the next generation, not serve for us. So, but let me know in your comments below. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out. Catch y'all later. Peace.